Good morning, class. Welcome to another history lesson. We've been looking at other peace settlements. Remember, we discussed the Versailles Treaty, and we also looked at the Treaty of Saint-Germain, which was signed in 1919. This was a treaty that dealt with Austria and Hungary. It separated Austria and Hungary. Remember, during the First World War, Austria and Hungary was one country. But through this Treaty of Saint-Germain, these two countries were separated into two countries. Austria, separate country, Hungary, another separate country. Whilst the Treaty of Versailles specifically dealt with Germany. And moving on, we look at another treaty, which was known as the Treaty of Neuilly. This was also signed in 1919. This particular treaty dealt with Bulgaria. Bulgaria was also an ally to Germany. However, Bulgaria did not suffer much loss as Germany. Rather, it did well when you compare with other countries such as Austria and Hungary. This is because Bulgaria was not a superpower. So it did not suffer much during the First World War. However, Bulgaria did lose some of her lands to Greece, Romania, and Yugoslavia. It also lost access to the Mediterranean Sea. On top of that, through the Treaty of Neuilly of 1919, which dealt with Bulgaria, Bulgaria was required to limit its armed forces to 20,000. Just 20,000 soldiers. On top of that, Bulgaria also had to pay £100 million in reparations. However, as you may know, or some of you might have checked in your books, Bulgaria played a small part in the war. Hence, it was not treated as harshly as Germany. So, Bulgaria, in a nutshell, only had to reduce her armed forces to 20,000 soldiers. It also had to pay £100 million in terms of reparations. Another treaty that we should be looking at is the Treaty of Trianon. This was signed in 1920. The Treaty of Trianon was signed in 1920, and it dealt with Hungary. Remember, there was Austria and Hungary. So Austria, the Treaty of Saint-Germain dealt with Austria. Now we're looking at the Treaty of Trianon. This dealt with Hungary. Remember, these two countries, do not get confused, these two countries were separated. So the Treaty of Trianon, which was signed in 1920, dealt with Hungary. Like the Treaty of Saint-Germain, its main aim was to transfer territories that belonged to Hungary. So you will notice that Hungary lost its population. By this I mean that some other people ended up being transferred to other states. Remember, after the treaty, the Paris Peace Conference created new territories such as Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia. These were new created territories by the Paris Peace Conference. So, through the creation of other countries or territories, countries such as Hungary lost some of their people to the other states created. For instance, Hungary lost 300 million Hungarians to other states. On top of that, its industries suffered from the loss of population and raw materials because so many people were transferred to other states. The manpower or the laborers that worked in the industries ended up being transferred also to other states. So this made the industry section of Hungary to suffer. As a result, Even though Hungary was required to pay reparations, it never did, because her economy became weakened. So, just to sum it up all, so far we have looked at the Treaty of Saint-Germain, we have looked at the Treaty of Trianon, we have looked at the Treaty of Neuilly, we have looked at the Treaty of Versailles. We are remaining with one more treaty, which we shall look at in the next period, in the next lesson rather. For now, I want you to be copying notes on your own. Through these videos, pause the video, copy down the notes, pause the videos, copy down the notes. Don't just listen to the videos, copy down the notes in your book. Some of you don't have the books, so this is the time to develop a writing culture. You can pause the video, write down the notes in your history notebook, so that when we open school, you won't have difficulties to go through your work, or go through the work that we have been looking at during these online lessons. So I hope you'll be doing that, and you are doing that. Thank you very much.